Welcome to everybody. We're glad to have so many of you with us today as we kick off our annual retreat. This is our first virtual annual retreat, so bear with us if we have a few glitches here and there. We're looking forward to a super fun and we hope informative week, and we want all of you to walk away glad that you spent your time with us. I know many of us are already pretty Zoom weary, so we're hoping we can make this enjoyable for you, and we'll welcome your feedback. We'll be answering your questions at the end of the presentation through the Q&A feature. You'll find that at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We also may provide you with some links throughout the presentation, and those will be available in your chat screen. If you miss any of those, this presentation will be available later on, made available by a recording, sorry about that. Or you can always email us at missionsteam@angelflightwest.org. Okay, we're gonna get started.
Angel Flight West, this is Anne.
Hi, Anne. I'm Emilio, and I'm calling because I submitted a flight request on your website.
Okay, great. I'll look you up. What's your name?
Earhart.
Full name.
Emilio Earhart.
Great. Big fan of aviation.
Yeah, my parents are, and of James Bond.
Nice. I'll pull up your flight request and we'll take a look.
Sounds good.
Okay, found you. Emilio, it looks like you're requesting a flight from Big Sandy, Montana to Seattle, Washington for an appointment on February 22nd.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So we work with volunteer pilots who fly small 4-seat or 6-seat aircraft. In order to cover the distance between Big Sandy and Seattle, we would need to arrange a flight as a relay trip with 2 volunteer pilots. What this means for you is that you'll fly halfway with your first volunteer pilot, land at a designated halfway airport, and then meet your second volunteer pilot, who will then fly you the rest of the way to Seattle. Total travel time for a relay like this one can take anywhere between 4 and 6 hours. And you can expect the reverse for your return flight back home. Are you okay with this type of travel?
Yeah, it sounds like a blast to me.
Okay, great. Then before we move on with your application, I want to go over our COVID-19 policies with you.
Okay.
I am going to list our policies, and then please let me know at the end if you can comply.
Sounds good. And also, you know what? Your reception's cutting out just a little bit. Could you say something really quick?
Sure.
There we go. That's perfect.
Okay, great. Thanks for checking in.
Yeah.
So number 1, please don't fly if you have any symptoms associated with COVID-19 or have been exposed to someone with COVID-19. We encourage you to take your temperature prior to departure. If you have a fever, even if you feel fine, please don't fly. Please wear a mask for the duration of the trip. Try to maintain physical distancing and avoid direct contact. If you need to eat or drink on the plane, please clear it first with your volunteers. And please note that our volunteers will also follow these same protocols. Do they all sound okay to you?
Yeah, that sounds great. It actually puts me at a lot of ease.
Great. Okay, moving on to the application. All right, so I'll confirm the information you listed first. You reside in 1234 Main Street, Big Sandy, Montana?
That's correct.
Okay, and your email address is missionsteam@angelflightwest.org?
That is correct.
Wow, you share our same email address. What are the odds?
What a coincidence.
Yeah. And I'm just confirming that your date of birth is January 1st, 1990. I think that's a Capricorn.
Correct. Yep.
Nice. Okay, I apologize in advance for bringing up a sensitive topic of weight. It's important for us to collect accurate numbers as we share those numbers with our volunteer pilots for their flight planning purposes. Can you confirm that your weight is 275 and height is 5 foot 5 inches?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Do you normally use a seatbelt extender when flying commercially?
No, I'd use the commercial seatbelt, just the normal one. Fortunately, as my granddad used to say, I carry most of my weight in my thick skull.
Okay. If we need your waist measurements to determine if you can fly in a small aircraft, can you provide that for us?
Yeah, of course, no problem.
Please know that the coordinators spend a lot of time and effort in making sure they get the accurate weights of all of the passengers on board. We ask for the height because that often can help determine whether they might need a seatbelt extender. We are aware, however, that everybody is not always forthcoming about their weight, their mobility, whether they need a seatbelt extender, and we ask that you contact the missions team at any time if you come up with a problem with that. We are completely aware of all of the issues with weight and balance, and safety is our first concern. We want everyone to be safe. Next slide. Okay, we're having a technical difficulty here. Apologize.
While you're fixing that, Sherry, if a pilot were to see someone that is looks drastically different weight or proportion than what's on the mission list, you want them to tell you?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, Emilio, can you confirm your phone number, please? It's important that we have accurate contact information for you.
Of course, my number is 310-390-2958.
Great, thank you. We also need to request a medical release for safe flying from a provider involved in your care. Is Dr. Spock the right provider to reach out to?
Yeah, he's my local doctor.
Okay. Do you have a fax number for him?
Not off the top of my head, but I can definitely check in with him and get that back to you.
Okay, that works. I'll just need that back as soon as possible so that we can work on your flights.
Okay, I'll get that right back to you.
Thanks. And just confirming that you're seeing Dr. Vi in Seattle.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And please confirm your emergency contact.
That would be Wiley Post. He's my brother, and his phone number is 310-398-6123.
Thank you. A lot of the numbers sound pretty familiar to me.
Yeah.
It says here that you're diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
That's correct.
Okay, and it looks like you're traveling to receive chemotherapy.
Yeah, I'm headed over to the Seattle Cancer Care.
And can you explain why you're requesting our services?
Yeah, so I'm on disability right now, living on a fixed income, and I just really can't afford the cost of travel. Typically I drive to my appointments, but it's a really tough drive, and especially this time of year with the winter weather, it's been very difficult for me.
Okay, understood. Hopefully we can help. It also says here that you travel with a portable oxygen concentrator and a walker.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so we're going to need the weight and dimensions of your concentrator and the walker to share with our volunteers. It's important, again, that you share that with us so that our volunteer pilots can determine if they can fit your equipment in their planes.
Of course.
Okay, and how long does the battery for your concentrator last?
It should last about 6 hours.
Okay, please prepare a backup battery for your concentrator for your flights, just in case.
Okay, will do.
Okay, and then regarding your walker, do you use that in your day-to-day?
No, I primarily bring that along if I know I'm going to have to walk long distances, but usually I'm fine just on my own 2 feet.
Okay. Do you think you can step up onto the wing of the plane and then climb into your seat?
Yeah, I don't think that should be a problem. Is it like getting in and out of my high-rise pickup truck?
Yes, it's very similar. Do
Okay.
you need help getting in and out of your truck?
No, I manage that on my own.
Okay, great. It sounds like you meet our mobility requirements to enter and exit a small plane. If you need a visual reference, I can send you a video that shows what it looks like to enter a low wing and a high wing aircraft.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you. Yeah, if you could email that to me.
Sure. And it says here that you heard about us from the American Cancer Society.
Yeah, that's correct. They referred me over to you guys.
So the team collects this information so it can be used by Ivan in our outreach efforts. The goal is for us to determine where we're getting our requests and where we're not, so we can concentrate our outreach efforts there. The operations team also sends Ivan possible leads for in-service presentations when they're speaking to healthcare providers. If you want to learn more about outreach, you can join Ivan's session at 11 o'clock today. And if you haven't already signed up, you can feel free to join anyway. The link will be in the chat, and it's actually on the same page where you got the link for this session this morning.
And Amelia, what is your plan B if we're not able to help?
I probably have to drive. Like I said, it's going to be a tough drive this time of year, so I would definitely need to know in advance.
Okay, I'll add that to the notes and we'll plan to follow up with you accordingly.
Sounds good.
Okay, so as I shared earlier, we would need to arrange your flights as a relay, and we'll ask you to fly in the day before and the day after your appointments. You listed here that you have family in Seattle that you can stay with during your appointments.
Yep, my brother Wiley Post lives out there, so lodging shouldn't be a problem for me.
Great. And I think you told me earlier that you're going to the Seattle Cancer Airlines for your treatments.
That's correct.
Okay. Great. Now you listed a healthcare professional named Bobby as your social worker, which is terrific. We'd like to keep Bob as one of our contacts for you. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that would be perfect. In fact, that would be very helpful to keep him in the loop for all of my travel arrangements.
Great. Then moving on to your flight details. So just confirming again that your appointment is on February 22nd at 1 p.m., that you plan to fly in the day before and the day after your appointments.
Yep, that's correct.
Great. And regarding baggage, you listed an overnight bag, the concentrator, and the walker.
Also correct.
Okay. Can you plan to pack your overnight items in a soft-sided luggage like a backpack or duffel bag? It's pretty difficult for volunteer pilots to stow hard-sided suitcases.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I'll be sure to just bring along a duffel bag.
Okay, thank you. And please do not go over 50 pounds as we give this estimate for our volunteers to use for their flight planning.
Sounds good.
Just as with the weights of the passengers, the operations team is really careful about discussing baggage restrictions. They talk about soft-sided luggage, the weights of things, making sure we're aware of any and all medical equipment, so oxygen, walkers, in some cases wheelchairs, strollers, car seats, etc. Again, safety is always our first consideration. If at any time somebody has more baggage than you feel comfortable with, please feel free to ask them to leave it behind. As always, you can contact the staff and we can help you out. Also a reminder, if you happen to be in a Pilatus and think, oh, that's no problem, remember they could be going home in a much smaller airplane, so please don't take that extra weight.
Okay, thanks, Emilio. Quick question, if a commercial flight was available for you, would you take it?
Absolutely. I just can't afford the price of the ticket right now.
Okay, understood.
So if you happen to listen to Josh yesterday, you heard him mention the Hilton grant, and due to the generosity of the Hilton Foundation, we are now able to help booking commercial tickets, train rides, bus rides, hotel rooms, other things that we might need to do in order to back up a flight. This allows for you to know that we can cover the passengers where possible, and we'll work with them when that can't happen. Please feel free to have a conversation with the coordination team about that.
And it looks like your wife is joining you on the trip.
Yeah, I'm going to need her to come along with me just to help me make some medical decisions and for her support.
Okay, it looks like her name is Wrong Way Corrigan.
That's correct.
Okay. Can you confirm her weight, please?
Oh man, you're gonna get me into trouble here. Yeah, I'll confirm her weight and get back to you. And if you don't hear from me again, you'll know why.
Thanks. Hopefully I won't get you into too much trouble with your wife. Just a reminder as well that I need the weights and dimensions for your equipment. And I think at this point, we've done as much as we can for your intake. I will call you back once I have the medical release and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Thank you. You've been so helpful.
You're welcome.
Hello?
Emilio, hi, it's Anne from Angel Flight West. I am calling because we received the medical release from your provider and can now process your request. Is now a good time to finish the details?
Sure.
Great. So according to AirNav, it looks like Big Sandy is the closest airport to where you live.
Yeah, that's correct. It's only a quick 15-minute drive from my place.
Okay. We will plan to use that as your primary airport, but it also looks like maybe Havre Airport could be an alternate airport for you. Would you be flexible to depart from other airports in the area?
Yeah, sure thing. I would just need to know in advance so that I could drive over there.
Okay, sounds good. I will add those alternate airports to the mission details.
Oh yeah, and actually I have one quick question for you. Do you know which airport I would be using in Seattle? Would it be SeaTac?
No, it will likely be either Boeing Field Airport or Renton Airport. They're both airports in Seattle. Are you able to make your own ground transportation arrangements once you land?
I'd have to check in with my family or my social worker there. I'm not sure if they can help, but do you know of any other programs that may be able to help?
Sure. We can put a request out to our Earth Angels. They're our volunteer drivers to see if anyone is available. Please do let me know if your family or social worker can't assist. I'm sure we can help with an Earth Angel or with a lift.
Wow, you guys do it all. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And thank you for your email. I got regarding weight and dimensions for your equipment and your wife. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Great. So I'll go ahead and process your request.
Okay.
Oh, one last important detail. We do require our passengers and companions to sign their waiver of liability in advance. Can you confirm that your contact information and your wife's contact information is still current?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. I will email and text you both the link to the waiver. Please click on the link to review the waiver, sign, initial, and submit your waiver as soon as possible. We need the forms prior to your mission.
Sure thing, we'll do.
This is part of the new waiver process. Some of you may have heard Josh mention it yesterday, or you may already be familiar with it. Since we do now have a one-time only waiver policy, our ops team will make sure they have the waiver for their passenger and their companions. And they also attempt to get any future companions that they might travel with. So if they switch off companions, we'll get them all in advance. Those are signed electronically. When you as a pilot will have access to those. And if you want to learn more about the waiver process in depth and how it works, please join us today at noon for our Lunch and Learn. And again, that link is in the side, but it is the same web page where you'll find everything for the entire week that you accessed this morning. Thanks.
Okay, great. Emilio, your missions are now on the available missions list. We'll keep you posted once a volunteer pilot or driver signs up, and I will also plan to stay in touch with you to discuss those updates and to talk about your Plan B arrangements.
Great, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Coordinators are now working hard to fill the flights, and they do that through a variety of ways. One would be emails. So many of you have seen the mass emails that come out, both the begging emails and the automated emails that come out twice a week. The begging emails are generated by the team as needed, and the automated emails go out on Monday and Thursdays. Additionally, we send targeted text alerts to pilots based near the pickup, the midpoint, or the drop-off airports. These are generally sent 1 to 2 days in advance of the mission, and they're when we don't have a pilot assigned and time is getting close and we are worried about getting it covered. And then lastly would be phone calls, and phone calls are made by the staff, but more often than not, they are made by volunteers, and more recently, they're made by our intern, Dana.
Okay. Oh my God, you guys are driving me crazy. I gotta get out of here this weekend. Let's see. You know what? Let's do some good. Maybe I'll do an angel flight mission. Let me just look at what we got online here. Oh, I might be able to take this flight from Montana to Seattle. It's a 2-legged, so hopefully they can get the other pilot, but I'll sign up for this and we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm gonna request this one. We'll just click it in there. Okay, there we go. Let's see what happens. Cool.
A coordinator will now process Mark's request and send the itinerary to the pilot, to the passenger, the requester. If you remember, Bobby is the requester in this case. And if there's any third party, other parties helping, Earth Angels, anyone, we would send it to them as well.
Angel Flight West, this is Isabel.
Hey, Anne, I'm calling because I'm getting a little bit worried. I haven't heard from my pilot yet who signed up for the first leg of the trip, and I'm not sure if I have anyone on the second leg just yet.
Hi, Emilio. Yep, it's Isabel, actually. Everyone always confuses the two of us. Let me check for you. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, yes. So yeah, we do have Mark on the first leg, and we are working to fill the second leg. We have our intern Dana making calls right now to pilots. So I will keep you posted on that. And then I will give Mark a call and ask him to touch base with you.
Okay, thanks, Isabel. I'll wait to hear from somebody. Thank you so much.
All right, you're so welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Mark. This is Isabel from Angel Flight.
Oh, hey, Isabel. Yeah, I just signed up for a mission. You're probably calling about that, right?
Yeah, I am. Thank you so much for signing up to fly. So I just spoke to your passenger, Emilio. He's getting a little bit nervous because he hasn't heard from you, and also because we don't have a pilot for the second leg. I let him know we're still working to fill the second leg, but in the meantime, can you please just give him a call just to touch base?
Yeah, I was sort of just waiting for the second pilot so I could give him the full details, but I'll call him now and give him an update and just keep him apprised of stuff. Thanks for reminding me.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks so much, Mark.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm not here. Leave a message and I'll call you back.
Hi, this is Dana from Angel Flight West. I'm calling to see if you're available for a mission on February 21st from Spokane to Seattle. It is the second leg of a 2-leg relay. It is 2 passengers and baggage for a total weight of 475 pounds. If you are available, please give us a call at 310-390-2958, or you can sign up online.
Hi, this is Dan.
Hi, this is Dana. How you doing?
Hi, Dana.
I'm
You
from
got a name that sounds just like mine. Isn't that cute?
Very similar. I'm calling to see from Angel Flight West, and I'm calling to see if you're available for a mission.
Oh, you know what? I got to get doing more of those angel flights, but I can't right now. My plane's down. It's an annual. Who knows what is going to be done? Those things trying to fleece me once again. But I can't right now or this week until that plane gets out. I'm sorry.
All right, no worries. Thank you for flying with us anyway.
All right. You take care now.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Rick.
Hi, Rick. This is Dana from Angel Flight West. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. I'm calling to see if you're available for a mission.
What are the details on it?
It is on February 21st It is from Spokane to Seattle. It's the second leg of a 2-leg relay, and it is flying 2 passengers and baggage for the total of 475 pounds.
Okay. Maybe.
We also already have a pilot for the first leg of the trip.
Okay. Let's go ahead and sign me up for that. I have looked at that flight before. There's a weather system kind of coming in over the Cascades. There's a possibility I might not be able to do a GA flight there. So if possible, could they take a commercial flight? Because I can buy them a couple commercial tickets from Spokane to Seattle.
Oh, they can do that. That's so generous. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Now that both Rick and Mark have been added to the flight, the coordinator will send the mission form again. This time, the form will be sent to both pilots, to the passenger, to that requester, and any Earth Angel. That way, everybody has everybody else's contact information, and hopefully communication will be super smooth.
Hey, Isabel.
Oh, Emilio, hi. It's Anne actually, but no worries. People get us confused on the phone a lot. I'm calling to confirm that we have your outbound and return flights covered. How are you on ground transportation in Seattle?
I think I have an Earth Angel signed up for my return trip, but I need help with the driver once I get to Seattle.
Okay, we'll help with the lift. I will text you a link that you can use. If you need help with that text or have any problems, be sure to call me, please.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello, this is Rick.
Hey, Rick, it's Mark Wolper. I'm the Angel flight for the first leg of that mission that I think you signed up for.
Hey, Mark, how are you? Haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I think we did a mission together somewhere in Montana recently.
Yeah, someplace up there. But what's your plans for arrival into Spokane?
Well, I was thinking I'm going to leave out a Big Sandy and at around 10 o'clock. So around 11:30 getting into Spokane and make the transfer at around 11:30 if that works for you.
You know, that works great. I think it's originally set up for Phelps Field, but if it's okay with you, can we go to Spokane International? Signatures there, they give us a pretty good deal, like $1 a gallon off on our fuel there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I could do that. Yeah, let's definitely switch it to international, get that fuel. I saw there's some weather coming in, but it looks like it's going to be okay.
Okay.
And I know this guy is coming with his wife, and I think they're going to have some kind of oxygen thing as well.
Okay. So I've already talked with Angel Flight. There's a possibility that there's some systems coming in over the Cascades that might make it a little problematic for me. But I'll know more about that tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and get commercial flights for them if necessary. But in any event, I will meet you there and do a transfer, and hopefully I'll be able to take them all the way to Seattle.
All right, it sounds good. And unless I hear from you otherwise, we'll plan on meeting at 11:30, and I'll chip in and help you with the flights if we have to do that.
Sure, perfect. So I'm in the Cherokee 6. You'll remember tail number is November 2932 Quebec.
All right, I'm 31 Bravo X-ray at Malibu, so should be fun.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Mark.
All right, see you soon, Rick.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
What's the dealio? This is Emilio.
Hey, Emilio, here's the dealio. I'm your pilot for Sunday. So
it's so good to hear from you, Mark.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. The weather's looking good. I'm excited to be able to help you out and do the flight for the day. So I just wanted to call and get all the details worked out with you.
Great. Thank you for calling.
So I was hoping that 10 o'clock would work for you, and then we're going to fly about halfway to Spokane, and we're going to switch pilots, and then you're going to jump in with another pilot named Rick, who's also a great pilot, and then we'll get you all the way to Seattle.
That sounds great. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm very excited about the trip.
It's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be smooth, and 10 o'clock. Have you ever done an Angel Flight mission before?
You know what? This is my first one.
Oh, okay. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. You can sit up in front with me, or you can sit in back, whatever. I know you're coming with your wife. That's great. And you're going to have some bags. So 10 o'clock, we're going to leave from Big Sandy Airport, if that works for you.
That works perfectly.
I'm going to give you the address of what's called an FBO, like the building that we're going to meet you at. It's 1562 Airport Drive. So just go there, sit in the lobby. You'll find me. I'll probably be wearing a baseball hat because I always do wear a baseball hat. And I'll just pick you up and we'll hop in the plane and we'll head over to Spokane.
Sounds fantastic. We will be there with bells on. Thank you so much, Mark.
You're welcome. I'll see you and your wife on Sunday, Emilio.
All right. All right. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Spokane departure, Angel Flight 7052 is through 4,000 for 10.5.
So at this time, the mission takes off. As you can see, both Rick and Emilio are wearing their masks, just like we asked them to. And we know they will be on the ground safely to meet Mark soon. Once the mission is over and it's been successfully flown, the pilots and the Earth Angels will file their mission reports. It's really important that these reports get submitted and timely is helpful to the mission operations staff. It's a great spot for pilots to make comment, both with concerns they might have, if somebody had too much baggage, passenger was late, or they brought a different companion, or those positive comments. We want to see those. We love to use those in our newsletter, on our social media, in our grant requests. That's where you can also upload photos, so please keep all those coming. The information that's used, that's submitted with those mission reports is used to produce the year-end report for our pilots. You'll see that can be accessed on the left-hand side of the screen when you're logged into VPOIDs. That's aphids for some of you that have been around for a long time. You can access that at any time for any year that you've been part of the organization. So you can use that for your taxes should you choose to. That also will reflect the hours and any flight costs that you want are up for the pilots to determine. It's also used for Angel Flight West in reporting our in-kind donation and is reflected in our 990s at the end of the year. If you'd like to hear more information about the tax deductibility of flights, please join longtime command pilot, Northern California wing leader, and CPA Bob Strawn on Thursday at noon. Once again, the link is in the same place. I hope you've learned a little bit about our process and that you have enjoyed this. Thanks to my team for their hard work and their acting abilities. Thanks to Rick and Mark and Josh. And what I didn't mention at the beginning is that Emilio was a very amenable passenger, meaning he had all of the information that we needed at his fingertips. He was able to make every change that we had easily. That isn't the case with every passenger. Some of them don't have the capability, the resources to do those things. So while this was an accurate picture of an intake, generally the intakes are a little bit more complex than that. At this point, we will start answering your questions. Okay. Tom Curran says, do you ever ask patients for photos of their equipment? The answer to that, Tom, is we have not done that, although interestingly, we do have done that in the Southwest when we've been doing the cargo flights with Love from Strangers. They send us the pictures of their loads that we're going to take and give us an idea of the size. So that is something that we could consider in the future. Hunter Hansfield asked us to discuss what kinds of medical care qualify for Angel Flight West, non-traditional treatments, acupuncture, what kind of clinics might be high risk, etc. So that's a good question and one that we really can only handle on a case-by-case basis. So we don't want to determine where somebody should get their medical treatment. Having said that, we know we should be responsible to everybody for the pilot's resources. So we do some research and we do our best to make sure that the facility we're doing at least can offer some sort of treatment to somebody. I hope that answers that question, Hunter. If not, please feel free to call us or email us at missionsteam@angelflightwest.org. Steve said that Mark and Rick pointed out that the rendezvous airport for the pilots is flexible and can be changed. How can we continually get that message out to new volunteers? Mark, you want to answer that one, please?
Yeah, I find that it's fairly common that, you know, another pilot like Rick and I will get on the phone and decide another halfway point. It doesn't even have to be halfway. If one pilot has a bigger, more flexible airplane, you know, they can fly further and the other pilot can do a shorter flight. So it's always a conversation directly with the other pilot. We try to not overwhelm the mission ops team with too much information that they don't particularly need at this point. So we'll figure it out usually amongst ourselves. Also, you can also change the location of the pickup with a patient. You don't have to take what the mission specialist chooses an airport. It may turn out that there's a better airport or better weather conditions or something at a different airport, and you can talk directly with a passenger about that and adjust the location if it works for them. So, and then you can let mission ops know later after you figured it all out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's something that the missions team is always working on, making sure we can convey that information out. So Steve, on Wednesday at 10 a.m. and Thursday at 3 p.m., we will be discussing issues just like this. So we'll be talking about how we can make the experience better for our pilots, how we can help you. And one of those ways is that exact question about the decision to make those airport choices. So thank you for that question. Tom Close asks, do the advanced electronic waivers also include advanced photo permissions? I'm going to have Anne answer this question since she's doing a presentation on waivers today at noon for our Lunch and Learn.
Sure. Hey, Tom. So for the most part, yes, when the coordination staff collects the waiver from our passengers, they also collect the photo permissions as well. Most passengers have no problem signing that release for photo. Sometimes some passengers prefer not to do that. If you're curious about whether or not a passenger that you're flying has submitted their photo release, there are several ways you can check the one-time waiver that they submitted. We'll kind of go into a lot of detail on that process in a couple of hours during our waiver session. So please stay tuned for that.
Wendy Gladstone, who's a longtime volunteer, been around longer than me, which is hard to believe. She says, great presentation. She was also a staff member for a while. So Wendy, hi to you, and thank you for the kudos there. We appreciate it. Stephen Elop asks, could you please say more about the decision-making process, why, when, between commercial flights, multiple leg angel flights, etc.? Yeah, I'm going to take this one. The answer to that, Stephen, is in general, we put those in as multiple leg flights. There are a few cases, especially now that we have that passenger assistance fund or the no passenger left behind that we talked about, where we might just look at it and say, hey, it makes sense. Seattle to Los Angeles, perhaps. For a couple of people, a Southwest ticket can sometimes be bought for $129 or less when it would take 3 pilots to get that person there, or or a large aircraft, a large jet, many dollars in money to get them there. So most often they are multiple leg relays, but we're working on looking at the ability now to do more of those commercial legs. Scott Woodman, again, thank you for the kudos. We appreciate the fact that you enjoyed this, and it's nice to be able to get the comments from people. Thank you for all that you do as well. Tom Curran says, thanks. Thank you. Scott Woodman says, and great acting. I think I'm not sure who the Academy Award goes to today, but since it could benefit me, I think it was Dan who was played by Josh Olson. Since he's my boss, it seems appropriate for me to say that he gets the Oscar for today's performance.
Great.
No sucking up. It clearly went to what's the dealio, Amelia.
Yeah. John Mahaney also says thanks. We appreciate it. Thanks, John. Jim Bierman, this is a good question, Jim. Thanks. When a patient needs commercial transportation, does Angel Flight cover that, or do you rely on pilots to offer to cover the cost? Alejandro, I'm going to give you that question.
Sure thing. Thank you for the question, Jim. It's a good one. We the answer is a little bit of both. Sometimes we do have pilots who offer to pay for commercial transportation, and that's always a generous move and one that we definitely appreciate. But like Sherry just referenced, we do have the Passenger Assistance Fund, so we pretty frequently cover the cost of commercial flights if it looks like weather or some other issue is going to prevent a GA flight from going.
Sherry, can I add a little bit on that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Being up in Idaho, there's a lot of times when the weather is very iffy on whether or not a mission can be held. We've also had some Angel flights going from, for example, I had one from Pendleton to Denver, and it's going from Pendleton to, I think, Twin Falls, and then Twin Falls to someplace in Wyoming, and then from there to Denver. I could easily do one of the legs, but I could also buy a commercial ticket from Boise to Denver for about $100, which is less than the cost of the fuel that it would take for me to fly one of those legs. So in that situation, I flew up to Pendleton, picked up the passenger, brought her back to Boise, put her on a commercial flight, and then I was able to do basically all three missions. We couldn't get anybody to take the third mission, so I just did them all. What I have found is that there's been several situations where the cost of a commercial ticket for the entire trip, a round trip, is less than one leg of the fuel for my plane. So in that case, I'm perfectly happy with just buying a commercial ticket.
Thanks, Rich. Ray Sanchez Pescador says that he's had issues with maps interfering with headset microphone functionality. Do you have any suggestions? So Ray, this is a safety question, and if it's okay with you, I'm going to have the missions team send you the email address for Rich Pickett, who is our safety officer, and he can help you with that question. I don't have any particular reply to that because, number one, I'm not a pilot, and it really falls to our safety officer. So if somebody on my staff could shoot an email to Ray with Rich's email address, because I know his is slightly different than the rest of ours. How is it set up? Thanks.
It's rich.pickett@angelflightwest.org.
Thank you, Josh.
He does have some suggestions on that, by the way. He's tried out several different types of masks and has tested it with a different mic. So he does have some good info on there. So we'll have him follow up.
Alexi, do you sometimes end up having the same pilot perform both legs of the relay, such to accommodate fuel limitations and duration of flight as it relates to passenger comfort?
Yeah, I can answer that one.
Go ahead.
So I'm fortunate enough that I fly in Malibu, which has a good distance that it can fly on a tank of gas. So when I see sometimes 2 or 3 legged missions, I'll just call missions ops and say that I'll take all 2 or all 3. It's just easier for the patient, and quite frankly, it's pretty easy in my Malibu. So that does occasionally happen. Or pick up 2 out of 3, and then you're limiting it down to 2 pilots instead of 3. So that does happen, and it's helpful, I guess.
Great, thanks, Mark. And again, I hate to keep beating the same drum, but we're going to talk more about this on Wednesday and Thursday at those creative ways to request a mission. So check out those for Wednesday at 10 and Thursday at 3. Just a quick comment about that as well. Sometimes a pilot may have picked up one leg of a 3-leg mission, and then someone with an aircraft like Mark's or a faster, larger turbine plane will come in and say, hey, I'd like to take all 3 legs. The staff at that point may go ahead and contact that person who's taken 1 leg and ask if they mind coming off the mission so that we can do that. And it's really for the comfort of the passenger. So that can happen as well. Eric Chadwick said, is there a waiver of the landing fee at Ksmo for AFW pilots, Santa Monica? Isabel, can you take that one, please?
Yep. So hi, Eric. So landing fees are waived at SMO. We send Vector, which is the company that we work with, to get those fees waived, a report each week. That report is pulled from AFID. So if you are flying into SMO, you want to make sure that you have the correct aircraft listed on the itinerary. And if you do get charged a landing fee, just reach out to us and we will reach out to Vector and have that reversed for you.
Great. Thank you, Isabel. And by the way, at any time, if you want to reach the missions team, it's missionsteam@angelflightwest.org, and I will have John put that in the chat for you. Neville says, great walkthrough. Thanks. What happens when a mission is canceled by a pilot due to weather? Anne, can you take that one for us?
Sure. Hi, Neville. So at that point, couple things happen. If a passenger has no backup plan, then we can step in and assist with a commercial flight or some other type of alternate transport using our passenger assistance fund. We also do talk about mission cancellations due to weather or other reasons with the passengers ahead of time. So they'll usually have some sort of plan B prepared. So they'll either start driving, or they will go to a virtual appointment, or they will reschedule their appointment for another try. So we do have these conversations with the passengers, and it's not usually like a big surprise if a mission has to cancel, since there's a plan B in place.
Thanks, Anne. And Neville, I think you brought this up yesterday or about the cancellations, and just, to put your mind at rest, the missions team will never, ever question somebody's a pilot canceling a mission for weather or for any other reason for that matter. Your volunteers and safety is our biggest concern. So if you call us or notify us that you can't take a mission you've been assigned to, it will be thank you very much for letting us know, and we'll move on to plan B, looking for another pilot using our passenger assistance money, whatever it might be. So there is no pressure. No pressure is what we want to continue to say. Ray Sanchez Pescador, like Dan's accent. We liked it too. Herman said, educational presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Herman. We appreciate that. Oops, there you go, Josh. Sorry, Josh. You wanted to take that one? Nope. Okay.
Helping you click them off the list here.
I hear you. Thank you. Stephen Elop says, if a pilot's willing to cover the commercial cost of a flight, do we have to book the ticket for the patient ourselves, or can we pay AFW and you organize the details? So let me take that one for you. So the way we handle that, Stephen, is one of 2 ways. You can book the ticket yourself and we will keep the flight assigned to you. And as often happens when Rick Holloway here buys a commercial ticket, when the flight's over, you will file the mission report with the cost of the ticket, and it'll show up on your year-end report as a commercial flight. If you don't want to do that, if you want us to book it, then what we do is we would book the tickets for you, and we would do that under the No Patient Left Behind Passenger Assistance Fund. And you would then send us a donation either through, a check or through the website, earmarking it for the Passenger Assistance Fund. And instead of logging that as a mission, you would get that logged as a donation to the organization. Hope that answers your question. Rob Brunner says, if weather causes us to buy a commercial ticket, can we still arrange that locally, or do we have to have the staff do it? I think I pretty much just answered that question, I hope. Rob, if not, send us an email, but I think That was the same question as Stephen asked. Kathleen, well, you guys are all asking good questions. When a pilot purchases a commercial ticket for a passenger, do they get credit for that mission? And the answer is yes. And it goes in as a flown mission, and instead of the hub's time or hours, it goes in as a dollar amount. It's still an in-kind donation. Tom Curran says, sorry, one more question. Don't be sorry, Tom. We love the questions. Keep them coming. What criteria do you use to determine the initial listed arrival and departure airport? Is it the patient's address? Alejandro, can you take this one, please?
Absolutely. So it is based on the patient's address and zip code. We usually plug those into either our system automatically plugs it into AirNav, or we manually do it and we find the airport that's closest for them. We aren't correct 100% of the time. So sometimes we pick an airport that's actually not the most convenient one. So that's why we always love to have feedback from pilots and patients. If patients tell pilots, hey, this airport's actually closer for me, then the mission ops team would love to know that, because then for all the future missions for that patient, we would know the correct airport to copy that past mission for. So yeah, we do it based on the address, definitely.
And then if I could just add to that, we also take into consideration runway length and quality, and whether or not the airport is public. So mostly try to use public airports that have ideally at least 3,500 feet of runway and good or excellent quality concrete asphalt. Yeah, and ideally FBOs, fuel, but yeah.
And instrument procedures. But yeah, good call as well. Thank you.
I'd add to that too, in terms of destination airports, they're typically picking the GA airport that's easiest to access that particular healthcare facility. But we know a lot of folks don't like to make that extra little hop. So, you know, if you're in the Bay Area and we have it into Oakland, but you're flying into San Carlos or Hayward, especially if you can arrange ground transportation for the patient, by all means, you know, we can change that. Even if not, sometimes it's such a difficult mission to cover, we'll spend more on the patient's assistance fund for a longer Uber, or help them navigate BART system or something like that. And that's true for other areas too. You know, if you're flying into Painfield and you've got, you know, a spouse or a coworker or a service club member that's willing to meet you there and drive them down to treatment, you know, those opportunities are there. Just because it's routed there, it's just usually because that's typically what we use repeatedly for that particular healthcare facility. But we need to hear from pilots too. A lot of folks we know don't sign up for flights that don't come into their home base, but it might be able to, just as a question of other logistics on the ground.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Again, hate to sound like a broken record once again, but we will be discussing that particular subject a little bit on Wednesday and or Thursday. So join us for that. Tom Close has a question, and he's asked, has AFW developed a way of negotiating special prices with various airlines for those times that the passenger will be going commercially? The answer is no, we don't really have that kind of relationship with airlines, and it is a difficult one to develop. We have some commercial partners who have helped us by giving us free tickets, and so kudos to those people. JSX, which was formerly Jet Suite X, they're now JSX. Mokulele on the islands in Hawaii. Somebody else help me out here. Contour, thank you. Contour Airlines up in Northern California, and of course, Alaska Airlines. So we have some relationships with those folks where those don't actually cost us any money. Those particular airlines donate the flights. Josh, I don't know if you have any other thoughts about trying to develop relationships with the airlines.
Yeah, it's always an active tactic for us is to develop those. We've developed a little bit better relationship with Southwest Airlines recently. So we've gotten those donated in 2020 and hope to get them in 2021 as well. It's a mix of resources that we're continuing to try to evolve so that we can serve more of that need. So again, relationships are key. So if anyone has those relationships with some of those groups, it's easy to show our value add that we've established with partners like Alaska and others to see if others might be willing to extend that.
Thanks, Josh. Hunter says other pilots may have thoughts in response to Ray about masking during the COVID discussion later today, and that's a good point. Thank you for that, Hunter. By the way, that COVID discussion is at 1 o'clock today. Let's see, I find that the expense section of the mission report, this is Scott Woodman, not allowing a numeric amount seems to imply that I will have to use a calculator at the end of the year. Should I wait for the tax discussion to query more about this? Scott, I don't have a real good answer for that particular question. The tax session would be a good one. Also, there is a session. Can somebody please tell me when Stefan's, not the tech discussion, the other one he's doing on Thursday, I believe is, and we can let Scott know. His
2 p.m.
2 p.m. on Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, so Scott, 2 p.m. on Thursday. Stefan, who does a lot of our tech, will be talking about some of the things that pilots might look for. Additionally, the same answer Wednesday and Thursday, we can help you with those questions a little bit more. Ray Sanchez Pescador, is the staff knowledgeable about weather, mountain limitations, and or concerns to focus their search for larger, more capable airplanes in the winter, especially in the winter? Yeah, the answer is yes, we are not pilots. However, we are trained in knowing where the mountain ranges are, and we have 3 large mountain ranges here in our region. So that's a concern for many of our flights. We have weather limitations in the wintertime, especially in the Pacific Northwest. We have those weather limitations in the summertime down in the Southwest. So we do take those things into considerations when we put flights together. Yeah, especially in the winter, and we use our Alaska Airlines partnership to help cover those flights in the winter. And we often do put out a request for those with larger, more capable airplanes. Ray Stratton has a hint for people going into Santa Monica. He says to avoid any confusion at Santa Monica about fees, he always calls Vector, which is the company that handles all the landing fees at many of the airports across the country, if not all of them. He calls them when he lands at Santa Monica, and that avoids it getting a charge by accident. And as I believe it was Isabel said, we do that. It's all automated, and they're really good about reversing a fee if you do get one. Joanne, good question. You said yesterday was crazy, and boy, was it. So what are some examples of what makes you crazy? And I'm going to sort of take that question to mean what makes the mission operations team crazy? What is a crazy busy day? Isabel, I know that you can answer that question. Well, anybody on this team could answer that question, but I'm going to give it to Isabel. So.
Yeah, I think working in mission ops, you need to be a really good multitasker. So in this role, we are constantly doing several different things all at the same time. We've been really busy getting ready for the retreat, but we also have to be available on the phones. And when we turn the phones off, that means we sometimes get answering service calls that need to be handled real time. So we have, you know, there's constantly sort of bunch of people coming at us from different directions, and trying to make sure that we get to everybody in a timely manner and are efficient and effective, and you know, giving people what they need on top of just getting ready for the retreat. But that's what makes this job so much fun, is it's constantly, you're going all the time. It's never boring, but it can sometimes get a little bit crazy. So. if anyone else wants to add to that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, go ahead, Ann. Are you good?
Just never a dull moment in the day of the life of a coordinator. There's always something interesting or unexpected happening, which is why the job is so much fun.
I would say that during the pandemic, things have been a little bit slightly more complicated, although I think our team has transitioned well into the digital world. But before, I would be on the phone and also yelling over the partition at Anne while I was talking about some other mission that was going on. It was kind of good for the multitasking. And now we're just furiously typing away on our instant messenger while we have our phone in our hand, we're talking about missions. So it is definitely a lot of multitasking, but this team is good at it.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Joanne, and I hope it gives others a little bit of a feel of what a day can be like. Thank you. Paul Henderson, if the pilot buys a commercial ticket, please check to see if the passenger has enough to buy food, cash to buy food at the airport during the wait. Some don't, and it can put them in a bad spot. You know, it's a good comment, Paul. I think sometimes all of us, staff and volunteers, it's a reminder that some of these passengers do not have the resources that many of us take for granted. And so that is a good question. And if anybody is doing that and doesn't feel comfortable talking to their passenger about it, again, please reach out to the missions team. We can have that conversation with them for you. Is Alaska, Joanne, is Alaska the only airline where we can donate miles? Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. Most of the airlines do not make it easy to donate miles. And even if you do donate miles, they go to their specific charities. Our relationship with Alaska, which is a long one and a really strong one, we are one of their featured charities. So anybody can donate their miles to Alaska Airlines. I believe there's still a link on our homepage right now at angelflightwest.org. So those are used for us to help for flights that maybe don't fit the regular criteria, but are particularly compelling. And in particular, we use those for domestic violence relocation. So we work well with a lot of domestic violence shelters. And if we need to book a long distance ticket, we do it with our Alaska mileage. Neville Markham says, Mark, your dog needs some attention.
Oh, Angel.
There's one there, and I got one down there.
The joy of Zoom, everybody. Ray Stratton says, handoff airports should consider ability to find food and suitable waiting areas. Some in Southern California airports have little more than a gas pump and a palm tree. You know, I think we've addressed this in that we're happy to make a change for an airport. If you find one that you think is not appropriate, we do try and find one that is sort of a halfway point that makes it you know, equal for pilots on both end. But certainly if there's one that you feel is not appropriate and there's one that's close by, let us know. We would appreciate it. Alexi, he says, thanks for a great presentation and the creative acting. Oh, thank you. Thanks to my team. I want to tell you guys that everybody worked hard at this. There was a lot of stage fright going on by all of us over the last few days. So thanks for your kudos. Do you have a list of typical aircraft seat capacity of most AFW pilots? Meaning, are the majority turbine or cabin class or the standard single engine four-seaters? Most of our aircraft are 4 to 6 seaters. Certainly we have some turbine aircraft, and on many fronts we are working hard to get more of those turbine aircraft that can help us with those long missions, those missions over the mountains, those missions in weather where somebody else can't do the flight. I don't have the exact percentage for that, Alexi. I mean, it's certainly in the system, but I don't have it off the top of my head. Alexi also says this might be more appropriate for the COVID presentation, but Josh had mentioned AFW letterhead to facilitate the acquisition of vaccine for volunteer pilots. Is that available? Yeah, we can provide that for you. Email us at missionsteam@angelflightwest.org, and we will talk more about it at the COVID presentation at 1. Ray Sanchez, thankful for the work that we do and particularly impressed that we are taking efficiency as an important factor for determining flights. Yeah, that we're doing that more and more, and you will see throughout the week conversations about all of that, both in our presentations and some of the tech presentations. And will that be addressed at all in the UC Davis presentation today? Or Thursday?
I am not sure. I think we're
Okay.
talking more about modeling and how to better fill flights.
Okay. So we continue to improve on that, Ray. If you listened to Josh yesterday, that's Angel Flight West, where we always want to improve, make the service better for you, and to keep growing the organization. And the result is to help more people. Herman, oh, good question. I'm gonna let Josh take this one, but Herman's a retiree from a major airline, and he wants to know what steps he could take to see if we can get him more involved in helping with our endeavor. And I believe he means the mission, not the event.
Thanks, Herman. Typically, it's the community relations department that's who we primarily work with Alaska Airlines, and when we receive tickets from the other groups. So if you have a contact in there and can make even just a virtual introduction, we're happy to take it from there. My email is josh.o@angelflightwest.org. I'm happy to pick that up and run with it. Or if you want to talk a little ahead of time so we can kind of game plan what might be the best approach with that particular airline, happy to do that as well. Again, joshua@angelflightwest.org, or you can always call me. My cell phone's 310-500-7173.
Thanks, Josh. And Hunter, this is a good one. Maybe folks would like to hear more about non-medical missions. I mentioned domestic violence. How about other non-medical missions that would come up? So the non-medical missions that we have besides the domestic violence, and by the way, we do fly those in your airplanes as well as with our partner at Alaska Airlines. So those come up fairly regularly. The other non-medical missions are right now in Southern California. We have the Livestream blood missions. As Hunter knows, we did have blood missions up in the Pacific Northwest. Those are on hold right now, mainly due to the pandemic. Besides blood donations being down, they had difficulties with their volunteer drivers, many of whom are seniors and who are staying home. So we hope as the vaccine becomes more available and people start getting out more, perhaps those will pick up and we'll get them there. And then especially in the Southwest, you know, those of you who have been in Utah, Arizona, also in Colorado, would know that we have had a lot of COVID relief flights going on, actually been over 500 COVID relief missions since we started doing those back in April. Those primarily have been in Arizona and Utah and Colorado, a little bit in New Mexico. We have done some outreach in other regions, and so far we have not gotten too much traction, but we're continuing to work on it. We know everybody wants to help and would love to see those missions.
There's also the dog flights.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Good one, thank you. And go ahead.
Oh, I'm actually going to pass this on to Isabel because she does a lot of them.
So we have a new partnership with the Search Dog Foundation. They are a nonprofit that trains, they recruit rescue dogs and train them to become search and rescue dogs, and then partner them with first responders, mainly firefighters, all throughout the country. So it's a really awesome organization. So we recently partnered with them to transport the dogs to their training facility. We've only had less than 10, between 6, 7, 8 flights or so. But we're hopeful that we'll get more requests from them. So you will see that on the list of available missions. They do go pretty quickly, but we try and be fair and kind of assign those flights on a first come, first served basis.
Yeah, and those, right now, we don't have any way to particularly make those animal flights or the cargo flights, anything in special listings, and that's something we'll be talking about again later this week, and something that we know people would like, the availability to just see cargo missions or maybe perhaps just see animal missions. So more work for us to do and keep things going for you. Thank you, Hunter, for that. Ray, I think we just answered that. The transport material, you'll get emails in a particular region. If those come up, we often send out emails in advance as opposed to just leaving them on the website. Eric Chadwick, do you still request that pilots use an Angel Flight call sign for mission flights? Other than the potential for priority, is there another benefit to using it? So we do ask pilots to use that. Your call sign number is a 4-digit number, and you can find it in your pilot profile. John can, I don't know if we can get it up in time because John will have to look it up, but there is a link. If you go to our knowledge base, John can put the link to the knowledge base up there. And if you just search call sign, there'll be an article on how that process works. You do need to program your ADSB, so there are some particular issues surrounding that, but the potential for priority is there. Some controllers will give you that, others won't. And the other, small benefit to that is other pilots hear that Angel Flight call sign and perhaps wonder what it is, and it's a little bit of free advertising for us.
Yeah, I could just speak on that for a moment. I typically, and I think a lot of pilots do it different ways, but I don't reprogram my ADSB out. I just leave it my call sign because it's just too much. It's too complicated to do it. But I do refer to myself as Angel Flight, but I use my tail number. So I find that gets the priority that you might get anyways without having to do the programming and using the official, charitable aviation call sign, program. Other people like doing it. I know other pilots like to change their ADSB out. But I just find it simpler to just be Angel Flight 31 Bravo X-ray and you get everything you need anyways.
Yeah, and Lee Gerstein has a comment, same thing, that it has to be programmed and it's clumsy, and so he's given up using it. And we know that is the case with many people. Unfortunately, that's sort of outside of our control. It's a rule that the FAA put into place on how this had to be handled, and so for those of you that can do it and like using it, that's great, but unfortunately not everybody can.
Well, it's just fantastic. I have to say it's fantastic being in the air and flying and hearing 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 Angel Flight missions flying at the same time you're up flying. It makes you feel guilty for, being in the airplane by yourself.
For anybody that's ever flown a camp mission, and we do a lot of those in the summertime. Obviously last year those were all canceled because of COVID, but normally it is pretty much, it's pretty exciting if you're flying or on the ground listening for any reason. You can hear 5 or 6 or 7 Angel Flight planes all coming into an airport at one time, so that's pretty good. Isabel mentioned that we try to be fair in assigning missions and what systems are in place to priorities for pilots. Good question, Hunter. To be clear, so when pilot requests come in, we generally take them in the order in which they come into us. So whoever requests it first will get the mission. Having said that, there are times when we will make other decisions. Let's say a pilot has flown multiple missions and They have requested a mission, and we see a request from a pilot who says, this is going to be my first mission in the comment section. We then might give it to that pilot who is trying to fly their first mission. I had one this morning that I was processing myself where I saw a pilot request a mission leg, but I have another pilot that is willing to take both legs. So I will give it to the pilot who can take both legs instead of the pilot who can take one leg, even though his request comes in earlier. So generally it's done in order, but there are times when we make those decisions based on what we hope is fair for everybody involved, or always most importantly, what's best for the passenger. Sunday from Mercy Medical Angels at an Angel Flight Mid-Atlantic. Hello, Sunday, all the way across on the other coast. Hope you're staying warm. I know the weather over there is not great. Yes, we will have a link for this webinar. We don't have it put in there yet, but we'll get it in there shortly, and we'll make sure that you get that link. It also will be available via video. So welcome, Sunday. Sunday is a employee at one of our sister organizations over there in Virginia. So nice to hear from you. Ray Stratton says, not hard with the GTX 345, not being a pilot. I'm going to assume that is some sort of pilot equipment. And some of you will understand what he's saying.
I think he's talking about transponder to reprogram Angel Flight.
Should we use the Angel Flight call sign when we're deadheading to pick up a passenger or going home after delivering a passenger? Alejandro.
No, we ask that you only use the Angel Flight call sign when you have a passenger in the plane. Thank you for the question, Alan.
Another important note, because the FAA, the reason they changed all this, which we're not a fan of, but by the way, is for mismatch. So we're not the only three-letter identifier out there. There's a lot of other carriers that have a three-letter, but they found people misusing it, and so they cracked down on it, and that's why they assign these specific ones, so there's no mismatch. So if you are flying a patient and do and do change your transponder, make sure on the way back that you're changing it back so there's not a mismatch. So whatever you file on your mission report or flight following has to match the same, because the mismatch is where they get upset, and that's what could get you in trouble with the FAA.
Okay. Neville says, thanks for the suggestion, Mark. As a renter, I could not reprogram. Neville, and I would suggest also that you check the knowledge base for all those rules about that. Thank you for your question. Scott, he programs his GTX 345, so I guess that is an easy one. And yes, Scott, we cannot use it on the return flight. And as Hunter says, ATC awareness definitely can make for some important prioritization. So he's been granted departure times twice. I always like to tell the story of something that happened many, many moons ago when the call sign first became available. And it was up in the Bay Area, and there was a pilot in a 172, and there was some big jet, and they were both on the runway. The jet was supposed to go first, and the controller let the Angel Flight pilot in the 172 go first, and the jet made some comment, hey, why did you let that guy go first? And the controller came back and said, well, if you join Angel Flight, I'll let you go first. So some good advertising for us. And Ray has a suggestion there about filing. And again, we can find all of those, all of the information about doing that at our knowledge base. And John should have put that there in the comments for all of you. It is 10:23, and I believe that is the last question. I hope everybody has enjoyed today, learned a little bit more about Angel Flight. Next up at 11 o'clock, you can hear Ivan talk about outreach, and you know, for us to keep the missions going, we need outreach efforts, and you can help us with that in a lot of ways. So feel free to join him on that. For those of you that have not been oriented yet, John is doing an orientation session at 1 o'clock today. Is that right, guys? Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. 1 o'clock today. We've got the waiver lunch and learn and the COVID presentation this afternoon. And then there's some safety. So
Let's
go to
cheer
that.
for the mission ops team, everybody.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. So hope everybody enjoyed today. Thank you. Oops, a couple more questions popped in. Oh, thank yous. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, my team, for their hard work. Thank you, guys that joined us, Mark, Rick, and Josh. And we'll see you later on today. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.